Hey everyone, we're back for another workout of the day. Today is 5 rounds for time. It's called Azúcar. It is 10 push-ups, 20 sit-ups, 10 deadlifts, 20 bar hops, 10 dumbbell push presses, and 20 kettlebell swings. So we're gonna go through all of those movements and the modifications, and then you can get started. Okay, so our first movement is going to be the sit-up. We're going to make sure that we keep our hand underneath our shoulder. So when we're up, it should be a straight line. We shouldn't be too wide or we shouldn't be too close together. We want to bring our legs all the way back into that nice plank position. We don't want to be sagging. So if you notice that you are coming down and the back end is touching and you're just doing this, fix your butt. We don't want to be up too high. So we want to be coming down at the same time. And we're going to come down and touch our chest. If we can, okay? So a modification for the sit-up would be on our knees, and we're going to sit up that same way. We're going to have our hands underneath our shoulders, and we're going to come down and touch our chest on the ground. The next movement is going to be our sit-up. So our feet are going to be on the ground. We're going to come back and we're going to touch those toes as we come up. Modifications to the knees. If you want to do crunches, we want to come up to the shins here. So one thing I don't want you to do is have your hands behind your head, because what happens is we start pulling on that neck. That's going to affect our neck and our shoulders, and we don't want to do that. So avoid that. The next movement is going to be our deadlift. So we're going to start with the barbell, and then I'll show you modifications if you don't have a barbell. What we want to keep in mind is our chest is always going to be leading our way upward. We want to keep that core tight and our back straight. This is really important so that we do not have that strain on that lower back. So people who tell me they have a bad back and they can't do this, that's not true. You can, as long as you have good form. So we're going to set up, our feet are going to be a little bit wider than hip width apart, and we're going to grab the barbell. Now I like doing a mixed grip, and this prevents the barbell from really having to grip and the barbell kind of slipping out of our hands. So that means we're going to put one palm facing this way, one palm facing towards you. We're going to always keep our butt above our knee, so we're never squatting below. And we want to make sure that when we come up, we're keeping that barbell close and that we're coming up our shins and we're keeping it touching us the whole way up, because we don't want to be out here. This is going to be no support. This keeps our whole body supporting that weight. The other thing, when you get up, a lot of people do this. I see it all the time. They come up and then they lean back to show, I guess it makes them feel like they completed it. Don't do that, because what happens now, if you're not straight up, when you're straight up and down, everything, your spine, your legs, everything is supporting each other. Once we start leaning back, now we're shifting the weight and we're straining that lower back. So don't do that. So let me show you. As we come up, again, my butt's above my knees. I'm going to be looking up and straight. I'm going to keep my chest up, my core tight. I'm dragging that barbell up. I'm moving my knees out of the way. And then I'm standing straight up, coming back down. So that's a deadlift with the barbell. You can use your kettlebell as well. I suggest if you have heavier kettlebells, use a heavier kettlebell for this. And it's going to be that same movement. We're just going to keep our chest up, touch on the way down. Same thing with a dumbbell. You can use a dumbbell as well. And you can also use a band. So we're going to stand on the band 2 feet. And we're just going to come up just like our normal movement. Okay. Next movement is our bar hops. And no, I'm not talking about bar hopping. Don't get confused with that. There is no alcohol involved in this. We're just going to jump with 2 feet side to side. Hopefully we can string it together. And to focus on the end of the barbell so that it will keep you from jumping on top of the barbell. That's not fun. So again, both feet. What we don't want is a gallop. We also want to make sure, again, if we can't get those strung together and you need to do 1 and 1, that's fine. But we want to really try to get as many together as we can to really get that heart rate up, considering it's only 20 jumps, right? So if you're not using a barbell, you can do the same thing with the kettlebell or the dumbbell. Or you can just hop side to side, bringing your knees up as high as you can for that. The next movement is going to be our dumbbell push press. So with this, there's 2 ways you can do it. So you can either use 2 dumbbells or you can use 1 and you can do 5 on each side. So before I pick up the dumbbell, let's just talk about the press upward. So what makes this a push press is that we're going to use our legs to drive the weight upward, and then we're going to finish with the press up overhead. So when we come down for that push, we want to be bringing our knees out. We don't want to come forward. So if you look at me sideways and I bring my knees forward, which a lot of people do, you can see my whole body is shifting, right? So when we drive upward, we're not really using the full potential of that movement upward, that force upward, because we're not coming up in a straight line. So if we bring our knees out, so if our toes are pointed slightly outward, we bring our knees out, you notice that I'm not shifting back and forth. I'm coming straight down and straight up, which is going to use that full potential of that leg drive upward. So with the 2 dumbbells, you're going to rack them onto your shoulders. You're going to come down into that push press, so that quarter squat, come down, and then drive up and have those arms completely straight overhead. Come back down. And with the 1, it's the same thing. You can use this hand for stability, outward, come down, press overhead. So modification would just be lighter weight. You can also use your trusty band and do 10 on each side for the band. And again, we come down, or you can do a strict press with no push press, depending on your resistance of what you want to do, but it's the same thing, pushing overhead. You can also use a plate to push overhead. The next and last movement is going to be our kettlebell swings. So we're going to set up slightly wider than hip width apart with our feet. We're going to keep our chest always up. We're going to be looking forward. We're going to come back so that our outside of our wrist touches the inside of our thigh. So, and we're keeping that back straight. If we touch somewhere else when we come back, if we're not here and we're lower, anywhere above, readjust yourself, because you're probably doing one of two things. You're probably squatting down, which is where I see a lot of people that are new to this. They do this weird squat thing. Don't do that. Or they come back too far and you're like doing some weird tabletop bend thing that nobody wants to see. So this is what it looks like with the kettlebell, and we're going to come about eye height. And if you don't have a kettlebell, you can use a dumbbell. It's the same thing. Or you can use a band. So how we want to do this, we want to set our feet in the band behind us, grab it, and we're going to pull this way. So that is all of the movements for today's workout. You're going to do that 5 times. You're going to time yourself. Write down